Well, Tóxico is a somewhat of a flexible hybrid platform. It's functioning more and more every time as a think tank, and so we've done quite a number of different types of projects, everything related to the cultural field. But so we have the workshops and the lectures on one hand, and then we've also done like collective art projects. For example, a series of libros de artista, of artist books that was shown in Bienal here in Mexico City, and then flew off to Cuba, and another project gets incorporated in Cuba, and then we'll be flying off to New York. I've also done film screenings, sometimes with a guest intern. For example, when Christopher Doyle was down here, we had a month-long show of his work, but also through other different projects like Cine Abierto and Diez Documental. I have done independent film screening ventures. And we're also starting a think tank, which will try to marry creativity to social projects. And it will be both an educational platform, because we will be picking like young, talented artists and designers and filmmakers, like from various disciplines, to be working together on a specific social project. For example, the first one that we will be doing is with the Hospital for Burnt Children. So it will have both a component, like working for a client in a way, which is the Hospital of Burnt Children, but also a communication campaign. But we will also be doing an exhibition about the theme of fire. So in a way, you have a whole kind of like a series of different stops of the creative process. One of them purely artistic, and then the other one is very, very much functional and very much about, marrying again creativity to a very specific social need. And at the same time, we will also have a mentorship system. So it becomes about doing a project, but it also becomes about knowledge building and learning how to work across disciplines. And it also becomes about doing a professional work and having a CV. So to become part of the CV, rather. Well, first of all, some years back, I got a scholarship at Fabrica, which is an artistic research center in Italy. And there we were working on multidisciplinary projects, and we also had a fabulous workshop program. And so there I found out two things. First of all, that just thinking in other languages, like if you have to take, for example, workshops that are design related, even if I was in the photography department, it actually furthers not only links between the disciplines, but even gets you thinking in different ways about your own discipline. And also the workshop program was incredible. We had amazing people. And one of the things that I learned there was that even if it's only a 4-day workshop, when you've got like these amazing people that are completely in love with what they do and they're incredibly talented, it leaves you with a certain hunger that becomes self-propelling. So they leave and you go on, basically. So that's why the need. And then I came back to live in Mexico City, actually. And then I thought I'd do something that was more or less structured in the same type of experiential way that Fabrica was. For example, when Christopher Boyle was here, I had been talking with filmmakers, and they're very interested in making very high quality films with very low budgets. And Christopher Boyle is actually quite an expert, for example, in using available lighting, and he has like these beautiful, beautiful films that are very personal and authorial. So then when he came down, what we did was actually work with, I got then to lend us the Hotel Bamer, which is one of the classic buildings, completely abandoned from the 70s in the city center. And there's no lighting at all. So basically we only had 4 hours to work, and the people got up divided in small teams, and then you had to do a small script in 4 hours under somewhat precarious conditions. So that was actually really, really, really interesting, because it's taking certain limitations to their very extremes in a very short workshop. So that was actually quite great. So that's what I've been trying to do every time more often, like work very much with the person that's coming down, so we can actually see what local needs are and how they can further interest and out of their own experience, obviously. And another interesting thing that has happened is that there's a few relationships that have been built from the people that have come down with Mexican people. So then some collaborative projects have also started. So that I also find quite interesting. Well, basically, the way that Tóxico is structured is usually the workshops are for a maximum of 25 people. We like keeping them small because that way people can really build intimate and personal relationships with the guest intern. As I said, one of the main factors that I would love for Tóxico to be is a link between Mexico and other interesting projects worldwide. So basically, we keep them small. And as I said, we work with the person that is coming down for about a month and a half to get everything set up so that 4 days, which is the usual amount of time that the workshop takes, actually you can get like a lot of information there, and especially open up the hungers and especially have people questioning their work again. And I think it's all about building these spaces where in somebody's professional life, because an important thing to state is that the workshops are usually taken by people who are thought of as possibly the best in their fields already, of a certain generation, like from 22 to 40 years. Well, actually various generations. But what I've seen is it's actually a way of stopping your professional life a bit and starting to question again, and starting, it's a place where you can again start to take a risk and think about things in different terms, and then see if it's interesting or not to incorporate that back into your professional life. And the lectures, on the other hand, because the workshops are so small and for such few people, are open to the general public, free of cost, and usually at a major museum in Mexico City. So it's kind of like a way of also helping the word spread out in a different sense. Tóxico has, almost from the very beginning, sponsorship from La Colección Fundación Jumex. And I must say that because of their help, lots of things have become possible. Like Tóxico would have stayed at a certain stage if it hadn't been because of their support. And then I also work with the embassy's intern. So if...
depending which...
Exactly. So if a Danish filmmaker comes down, Copenhagen Art Agency, for example, helped me out in that case. And I also now have support from The Lift, which is a production company here in Mexico City that helps me with production services. So basically, it's how do you actually marry kind of like grab the hand of people that are already doing very professional things in their own fields, and then just kind of like jumping on board. And then also having like the support from La Colección Jumex, that is definitely kind of, because you do need kind of like this... you do need kind of like the liquidity. I don't know if that's the word or not. In a certain sense, when I think of kind of like education as a whole, I do think that that we need to learn, like if we actually want to be putting creative people in the world, I think the structure of education itself has to be creative, and one has to understand what it means to further creativity and what it also means to further creative excellence in a certain sense. So that's what I think is one of the biggest challenges. Like, how does the educational system actually keep up with these very quick changes happening in the contemporary cultural world around us? Well, I think the multidisciplinary factor is definitely something I'm completely interested in, seeing how one can create platforms and grounds where people from different disciplines can come in, collaborate, and then keep on doing projects and seeing how beneficial that can be for like every discipline in turn. And on the other hand, I'm also very interested in what creative excellence means. It's been one of my favorite subjects, actually, because I think the cultural field is a tad more intangible, and at the same time, I think there's a lot of room for people that keep on questioning and provoking and just taking more risk with their own personal work. And so I personally would love for Tóxico to become like this place where one can again experiment, and one can again take risks, and one can again question one's own practice in a very contained frame, both time-wise and space-wise, and how that actually can be applicable to one's life outside of kind of like this little bubble that we seek to create.